Good morning, children. I welcome you for the morning session of my lecture, The Last Lesson, authored by Alphonse Daudet. Children, today in my lesson, I would be covering thoughts about the author, introduction of the chapter, then I would be talking about the theme of the chapter, explanation, and then the summary. So let us begin with it. And before I commence with my lesson, I hope you all are putting in additional efforts and going through the lesson very carefully so that you prepare well for your board examination. And it's high time that you should start studying from the beginning itself rather than postponing your regular studies to the next month or the next week or the next day. Got it, children? So let us start. About the author, Alphonse Daudet. He was born on May 13th, 1840, Nimes, France. He was a French short story writer, poet, a playwright, and a novelist. These days, he is being remembered chiefly as the author of sentimental tales of the provincial life of the south of France. His wife was known as Julia Daudet. And children, you would be surprised to know that he was awarded Knight of the Legion of Honor as well as Officer of the Legion of Honor. He mostly wrote on sentimental tales of the provincial life of southern France. Initially, he was a school teacher. He quitted his profession to become a journalist. He wrote number of books, stories, and children books too. His poems were released titled as Les Amoureuses in the year 1858. Some of his writings known were Les Nawab, published in the year 1877, Les Rois as an Exile in the year 1879, Sappho in the year 1884, and L'Immortal in the year 1884. Children, he also wrote for children La Belle Nivernais. What was the book known as? La Belle Nivernais. Okay? He was a really acclaimed writer. With this, I would like to move ahead with the introduction of the story. I would like to tell you the story centers around language chauvinism, proving true to the statement, power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. When man adopts a dictatorial attitude, he becomes insensitive towards human feelings. As you all know, the story is set in the days of the Franco-Prussian War in the year 1870-71. It depicts how, after defeating France in the war, the Prussians wanted to acquire and rule over not only the territory of France, but also over the minds and hearts of the people. According to an order received from Berlin, French was no longer to be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. I would like to tell you, France lost the war, and Prussians, who were then the sum of Poland, Germany, and parts of Austria, they defeated France and undertook the two districts of France. They were Alsace and Lorraine. And Berlin passed the order that from then onwards French would not be taught in these two districts, whereas Germany would become mandatory. So now they would learn only Germany in both these districts of France, which are no more the districts of France, but rather they are now undertaken by Prussia after losing their battle. The lesson renders a touching and emotional adieu to the identity of the French, who were being deprived not only of their political freedom, but also their identity. With this, children, I would like to move on to the theme of the chapter. The story beautifully brings to light the human tendency to postpone the learning of things, for one feels there is plenty of time to do so. One never knows when the doomsday will dawn. Children, as you all know, when the teachers give you some assignments to perform or to do it at home or to complete it in the house, generally every child has a tendency of postponing their assignment, that is to either do it in the next week or the next day, and thus they land up without preparing their lessons to school. So this is what the theme is trying to explain here, that when the doomsday will dawn and bring an end to our hopes and aspirations, that is, when we would be reaching closer to the board examinations, we realize that we are not prepared with our subject, we are not prepared with our lessons. So I would like now to tell you, the natives of Alsace realize their folly of not giving due importance of the study of French in their school days. They become victims of linguistic chauvinism with the acquisition of the districts by Prussia. They receive their last lesson on French and are compelled to bid adieu to their mother tongue, that is French. In those days, Prussia consisted of Poland, Germany, and some parts of Austria. So children, after these two districts of France, Alsace and Lorraine, they were undertaken by Prussia as Prussia won the war. And soon an order was passed by Berlin that from then onwards no French would be taught in these two districts of France known as Alsace and Lorraine, but German language would become mandatory. Okay? So children, now I would like to tell you that they would learn only Germany. The lesson now renders a touching and emotional adieu to the identity of the French, who were being deprived of their political freedom, but also their identity too. Follow children? So it's very natural if somebody compels you not to speak in your mother tongue or not to learn your mother tongue. See, that frustrates a person, you know. And same was with the people of France, who were now compelled that they would not be learning their mother tongue anymore, as German language would be made mandatory in the schools of both these districts, that is Lorraine as well as Alsace. Okay children? So I hope you have followed the introduction of the chapter. Now with this I would like to move on to the theme of the chapter. Now it is the pain that is inflicted on the people of a territory by its conquerors. And now children, I would like to tell you, during that period, Bismarck was ruling Germany, and these conquerors, by taking away the right to study or speak in their own language, was really heartbreaking to the people of France. It also tells us about the attitude of the students as well as the teachers towards learning and teaching respectively. Now children, I would like to tell you, sometimes it does happen that though the teachers impart knowledge to the children and give them some assignments to perform or to do at home, it is generally seen that children are in the attitude of postponing their lessons or not completing the given assignments in time. So it is reflecting the attitude both the teachers as well as the students and teaching us a lesson that we should be very responsible towards our duties. Let it be the teachers or the students. The teachers need to impart knowledge to the students, and whereas the children also need to be very responsible in learning their lessons without postponing their assignments for tomorrow or for the next day. Okay children, now with this we would begin the explanation of the chapter. Okay children, we shall now begin with the explanation. I would first like to read out the text. I started for school very late that morning and was in great dread of a scolding, especially because my teacher M. Hamill had said that he would question us on participles, and I did not know the first word about them. For a moment, I thought of running away and spending the day out of doors. It was so warm, so bright. The birds were chirping at the edge of the woods, and in the open field back of the sawmill, the Prussian soldiers were drilling. It was all much more tempting than the rule for participles, but I had the strength to resist and hurried off to school. So children, as you all know, the story, the last lesson, is set in the days of Franco-Prussian War. And you know, France was defeated by Prussia, and districts of Alsace and Lorraine had passed into Prussian hands. Now, the orders have come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. So now, children, the story describes what is just another ordinary day for Franz, who started very late for school that morning. In fact, he was reluctant to go to school as he had not prepared his French lesson on participles. Now, what do you mean by participles? Participles is a topic of grammar. Maybe the same basic topic of grammar maybe in French language too. So his teacher M. Hamill was going to conduct an oral test on the topic in the class. Okay? Initially, Franz thought of spending the bright warm day outdoors enjoying the nature, seeing the chirping of birds, watching the chirping of birds and drilling of Prussian soldiers at the back of the sawmill. Now children, what is a sawmill? Sawmill is a factory in which logs of wood are sawn, S-A-W-N, into planks. बड़े बड़े लकड़ी के तना जो होते हैं, they are all cut into plank. छोटे तख्तों में उनको काट कर रखा जाता है. It is a factory there, right? Now Prussian soldiers were drilling. What do you mean by drilling? Drilling is an exercise. And children, how did he come to know that they were drilling? It is only, as you know, generally the soldiers or the army people, what do? They exercise on the beat of a drum. So when he was able to hear that sound, boom, 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 thus he realized that the Prussian soldiers were drilling. As you know, these two districts have been undertaken by the Prussians now. So the Prussian soldiers were exercising there. Now as the weather was bright and pleasant, it was all much more tempting. Now he says he was planning to bunk his class, and as he was being attracted towards the drilling of the Prussian soldiers, as well as due to the bright day, he wanted to watch the birds chirping there. And so he felt, rather than the rule for participles, I would definitely enjoy much more the exercise of the Prussian soldiers. But I had the strength to resist and hurried off to school. So what did he do? Rather than staying back, rather than resisting there, so what did he try to do? He thought, it is better I move away from here and set off to school. So what do you mean by resist here? Stop oneself from doing something. So what did he do? He didn't want it to stay back and enjoy the nature as well as the watching the drill of the soldiers. So what did he do? He decided to hurry off to school. Okay. When I passed the town hall, there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. So as he was rushing to school on the way, he came across the town hall. Now what is this town hall, children? It is a building used for administration of local governments, right? And as he passed the town hall, he was able to see there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. See, children, bulletin boards, even we too have in our schools where we too put up, all the good as well as the bad news. Plus, when we celebrate the days, we put up the information regarding the important days that are celebrated in the school, whether they are national days or they are the other religious days. For the last 2 years, all our bad news had come from there. The lost battles, the drafts, the orders of the commanding officer. And I thought to myself, without stopping, what could be the matter now? So now what did he say? He's saying, as we know, the war had become 2.5 years ago, the war broke out. And since that day, all the bad and the good news has been put up on the bulletin board since that day, whether the news had been about the lost battles or about the won battles or any sort of draft regarding the commanding officers. And I thought to myself, without stopping, what could be the matter now? Why the people have crowded the bulletin board? Then as I hurried by as fast as I could go, suddenly on the way, I met a blacksmith known as Watcher, who was there. Blacksmith is a person who makes or repairs iron things, children, and his name was Watcher, who was also there along with his apprentice. He too was standing close to the bulletin board, and he too was reading out whatever message has been put up on the board. So what do you mean by apprentice? Apprentice is a person training or a trainee taking up training under a skilled person. Okay? A person who is getting trained under a skilled person is known as an apprentice. So the blacksmith along with his trainee, along with his shishya, whatever you say, had been reading the bulletin there, and suddenly when he saw me rushing from there, he called me. Don't go so fast, bub. You will get to your school in plenty of time. So what did he say? See, there's sufficient time. There's no need of you to rush. There's no need of you to speed up. See, you have sufficient time to reach your school. I thought he was making fun of me. In the beginning, I felt he was trying to make fun of me and reached M. Hamel's little garden all out of breath. And I thought he was just trying to make fun of me, and I Without taking a break, I rushed straight and I was, panting, taking deep breath when I reached M. Hamel, my teacher's garden. Usually, when school began, there was a great bustle which could be heard out in the street. The opening and closing of desks, lessons repeated in unison, very loud, with our hands over our ears to understand better, and the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table. But now it was all so still. I had counted on the commotion to get to my desk without being seen. But, of course, that day everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. Through the window, I saw my classmates already in their places and M. Hamel walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. You can imagine how I blushed and how frightened I was. So now, Franz is trying to express that usually whenever he goes to school, there's a great bustle in the campus and we could hear out in the street, especially the opening and closing of desks, the children pulling and pushing of the benches, lessons repeated in unison. Unison means lessons being recited together in chorus, very loud, with our hands over ears to understand. So he says to understand better the lesson, what generally the children do? They place their hands over their ears. Why do they do that? It is due to the, repeated lessons in unison, the lessons being recited in chorus by the students. So to understand better, children generally place their hands on the ears, and even you children too do sometimes. And the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table and is saying, generally we are able to hear the teacher rapping the ruler on the table. But now it was all still. There was no noise at all. And I had counted on the commotion, and is saying I had always taken this opportunity when there was always lot of commotion in the campus, and I used to take advantage of this moment and I used to get into my class and occupy my desk without being seen. But today, the environment of the premises of the school was entirely different. There was stillness. But, of course, that day everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. It appeared like Sunday morning. No movement, no bustle, no commotion. There was stillness all around. Through the window, as I approached my class, Franz says, I looked through the window of my classroom. Already in their places, I saw my classmates were already seated in their places. And M. Hamel, you know what he was doing? He was walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. He was having his ruler under his arm and he was moving up and down, okay? He was moving to and fro. So I had to open the door, and then I decided to open the door and go in before everybody. You can imagine how embarrassing I felt. And I was, very frightened of, I had the dreaded fear of my teacher, M. Hamel. So what did Franz say? Now what do you mean by the word blushed here? Blushed here means embarrassment, feeling shameful, because all the students were already seated in the class and the teacher was about to begin his lesson. So he was feeling blushed, and children, blush has here two different meanings. But here it means the child was embarrassed. He was shameful for getting late to class. But nothing happened. M. Hamel saw me and said very kindly, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz. We were beginning without you." So, as usual, his teacher, he's considered to be very strict teacher. And some students even call him cranky sometimes because he's very hard at heart. But today, when he entered the class, Franz was surprised to see M. Hamel's behavior totally transformed. As he saw Franz, he said very politely, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz. We were just ready to begin with our lesson." I jumped over the bench and sat down at my desk. So Franz says he quickly went and occupied his seat. Not till then, when I had got a little over my fright. Then he's saying, and he relieved himself. He was having a dreadful fear of his teacher. And when he saw his teacher was very polite to him, so he got a little over his fright. And did I see that a teacher had on his beautiful green coat? Then suddenly I had a look at my teacher's attire. He was putting on a green coat, his frilled shirt, and the little black silk cap, all embroidered, that he never wore except on inspection and prize days. Besides, the whole school seemed so strange and solemn. So what did he say? Once he occupied his seat, suddenly he gazed at his teacher, or he had a look at his teacher, and he found his teacher was dressed in the bestest attire. He was putting on a green coat, a frilled shirt. Children, during that period, even the, male sex used to put on the frilled shirts. And he was putting on a little black silk cap, and that cap of his was fully embroidered. Okay? And this dress generally he wore only during special occasions like the inspection days and prize distribution days. And now the whole school seemed so strange and solemn. It was looking so serious. The complete premises of the school appeared to be grave, so silent, so serious. But the thing that surprised me most was to see on the back benches that were always empty the village people sitting quietly like ourselves, old Hauser with his three-cornered hat, the former mayor, the former postmaster, and several others besides. Now, above all, Franz was deeply surprised to find the back benches of his classroom occupied by the elderly members of the village. They were all sitting quietly like the other students who have occupied the seats. So who all were there? Old Hauser. Maybe it's the name of one of the famous person of the village. He was putting on his three-cornered hat. The ex-mayor, the ex-postmaster, and several other elderly members were seated. Everybody looked sad, and Hauser had brought an old primer. And all these members, the villagers who were seated in the class on the back benches, they all appeared to be very sad. And Hauser, he had an old primer. Now children, what is this primer? It is a book dealing with basic elements of any subject. Okay? Like suppose we want to teach English to the little children, we teach them ABCD. The similar way, primer is a book dealing with basic elements of any subject, thumbed at the edges, and he held it open on his knees. So he was holding that primer in under his, he was holding with his thumbs on the edges, and he held it open on his knees, and he kept that book on his knees, on his lap. And his thick spectacles, the great spectacles, they were lying on the pages of that primer. So now, while I was wondering about all, M. Hamel mounted his chair, and in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to me, said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive." Now, while he was wondering about it all, M. Hamel suddenly sat on his chair, and in the similar, grave expression and gentle tone, and tone is here the vocal sound of his voice, which he had used to Franz to welcome him into the class, he said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German to the schools of Alsace and Lorraine." So he says, an order has been forwarded that in both these districts of France, only German will be taught. So the new master comes tomorrow. So this is what is declared by M. Hamel, his teacher. And he said, "This is your last French lesson." And he wanted the students of his class to be very attentive. This news, he was startled listening to this news, as this news came up to him like a thunder clap. His words fell on him like a thunderclap. That is unexpected, information that was delivered to him by his teacher. Oh, the wretches, that was what they had put up at the town hall. So immediately he realized, so okay, that's the reason that was the reason why large number of people have gathered around the bulletin board near to the town hall. So now my last French lesson. Why? I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn any more. I must stop there then. So now, listening to, the words of his teacher, Franz was really upset, and he was very sorry that he would not be able to learn French anymore. And he was regretful, and he was repenting that why he had not studied French. Oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons, for seeking birds' eggs or going sliding on the Saar. And then he says, I'm really sorry why I had not utilized my precious time to learn French. Rather than doing that, I had used that time of mine in the leisure activities. I used to seek the birds' eggs, or I used to go to slide on the Saar. What is the Saar? Saar is a river in northeastern France and western Germany. Then he says, my books that has seemed such a nuisance. All these books of mine, they have caused so much inconvenience to me. Nuisance means inconvenience. I had no liking for my books. I felt they were too heavy for me to carry. My grammar, my history of the saints, they were old friends now that I could not give up. And M. Hamel too. And then he starts regretting that I just can't forget even my teacher, my books. That shows he started having a liking for the language, his mother tongue. The idea that he was going away, he did not like this. He did not want to part from his teacher. It is very natural, children. They say the teacher and the student's bond is very pious and sacred, that I should never see him again. And he began to think, he began to repent that once my teacher leaves the school, I would not be able to see my teacher again. I would not be able to listen to his speech anymore, neither to his lessons. This made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. And this is what I began to think of my teacher and the, dedicated services he had been rendering for the students, for the school. Though he was a short-tempered by nature, cranky means short-tempered. Okay? But poor man, it was in honor of this last lesson that he had put on his finest clothes. So thus he realized that he is in his best demeanor today. It means that this is the reason that he had put on his bestest clothes. That means the newest attire he's wearing, his new clothes that he's putting on, it is due to this reason that today is his last lesson of French language. Why the old men of the village were sitting there in the back of the room? Then he began to imagine why were the elderly members of the village sitting there in the back of the room. It was because they were sorry too. Now, thus he realized that even the elderly members of the village or the villagers, they have occupied the back benches of the classroom. They were also very sorry. They were also regretful that they had not gone to school more. They were also regretful that why they had also not attended their classes and why they have not learnt their mother tongue language, that is French. So it was their way of thanking our master for his 40 years of faithful service and of showing their respect for the country that was theirs no more. So why all these villagers have come to school today, children? It is all because they have come here to thank the teacher who had been rendering his services for the last 40 years, his faithful services with complete dedication. And so they all have come here to bid gratitude, to pay respect and to show respect for their country, for their language that was theirs no more. Okay? So this is now reflected here that the villagers have developed a feeling of patriotism. That's for their country as well as for their language here. So now while I was thinking of all this, I heard my name called. It was my turn to recite. What would I not have given to be able to say the dreadful rule for the participle all through very loud and clear and without one mistake. Now children, this little boy, Franz, suddenly he heard his teacher called his name and he wanted him to recite the rules of participles. And he was dreadful of the teacher's, ruler, as well as he was now worried that as he does not know a single word of this topic of participles, but he expected that if he would have studied sincerely, he would have been able to give a response flawlessly without committing any error. But as he began to answer to the question thrown by his teacher, Franz mixed up on the first words and stood there holding on to my desk. So what he says, hardly I begun my answer that I was stuck there and I mixed up all the initial words and I held on to my desk. My heart was beating and not daring to look up. He's saying, I was so embarrassed that I did not have the courage to lift my eyes and look at my teacher. I heard M. Hamel say to me, I won't scold you, little Franz. You must feel bad enough. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, wow, I have plenty of time. Then he began to explain to Franz that, Franz, I would not be scolding you today, but I want you to realize that whenever any assignment had been given to you, you little children always have tried to postpone your part of duty, that is to learn your lessons, by saying there's plenty of time, not today, I would be doing it on the next day. Okay? And now you see where we have come out. That's the great trouble with Alsace and puts off learning till tomorrow. Thus he says, this is the biggest problem with the people of Alsace. Because here the people are in the habit of putting up every work, every assignment, okay, the learning content till tomorrow. So rather, children, what one must do? See, whatever assignment is given to you, you must try to complete it at the same time, on the same day, rather than, postponing the content for the next day or planning up that we would be doing it after a few hours or after a few days. Now those fellows out there, now here those fellows here means the Prussian soldiers, because they have taken over both these districts. So he says, now those fellows out there will have the right to say to you, he says, now he's trying to teach a lesson to Franz, he's trying to make him realize that now all these Prussian soldiers, now they are going to say to you, how is it you pretend to be Frenchmen and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language? So now he's saying, okay, now how convenient it would be for the Prussian soldiers to come and question you. They would ask you, they would try to pretend that how can you be a Frenchman, because you people are not able to either speak or write your own language. But you are not the worst. Franz, poor little Franz, we have all a great deal to reproach ourselves with. Then he says, we all are regretful. We all are greatly disappointed because we had, many years to learn this language as it is our mother tongue, but we have been utilizing our precious time or our leisure time in performing all the leisure activities rather than using the time resourcefully. Now he began to blame here. Your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. So now he began to, he's very much worried here. Anxious means he's worried. And thus he tries to blame his parents, Franz's parents, that your parents preferred to put you to work on a farm or at the mills so as to add a little more extra amount to the savings. He says that your parents, rather than sending you to school regularly, they have been, preferring you to go to work on a farm or at the mills. And the reason behind this was to have only a little more additional money earned and added to that saved amount. And he holds himself also responsible. He says, I have been to blame also. Have I not often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lessons? He says, I consider myself to be responsible for not teaching you the lessons. Rather, I had sent you to water my flowers. And whenever I wanted to perform the leisure activities like fishing and go on a holiday, it was I who used to declare a holiday and not teach you in the class. So overall, he's here, what he's doing? He is blaming himself, Franz, as well as his parents. Okay, he says that this is what I mean to say is here. It is a grim realization here. Realization. He's trying to dawn that realization to Franz. He wants him to realize that how responsible he and his parents as well as his teacher is for not teaching him the lessons. Rather, they spending their precious time in the other leisure activities. Okay? Then, from one thing to another, M. Hamel went on to talk of the French language. Then, one after the other, he repeatedly spoke good about the French language, saying that it was the most beautiful language in the world. See, now here, children, in a very unusual manner, he started talking about the importance of the French language. So what he says that it is one of the most beautiful language. Before that, he says that the parents have been very ignorant, okay, and they have not been anxious to have the children learn in the school, and children also had the habit of putting their work, okay, or postponing the work for the next day or the next week, and the parents also preferred to send their children to work on farms or mills. Okay, children, and not only this, they have even encouraged their children to take up errands for their convenience. Errands means they are all the petty services that are taken up to earn some additional amount. Now, M. Hamel began to teach his last lesson. Now, children, how did he try to teach his last lesson? He says, Eulogie's French language. Eulogie's French language means Eulogies. Eulogie's French language means he begins to praise the French language, calls it one of the most beautiful language in the world. Okay? And he says, and he asks the audience to always guard it and never forget it. See here, children? He says it is the most clearest or the most logical that we must guard it among us and never forget it. So he says guard it here means we need to preserve this language, and we should not, avoid learning the language, because whenever people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to the language, see, as long as here again is a simile, he compares here, he says that as long as they know the language or they are connected to this their mother tongue, it is as if it is just like the key that can open the doors of a prison. That means they can communicate in their language and they can find a way to escape even from the prison. Now, a person must have the identity. Most probably, I would like to tell here that the narrator wants to say that one must have his linguistic identity. A person must not lose his linguistic identity, because it is the mother tongue that holds a person fast to the language, and knowing a language is just like the key to the prison. So later on, immediately after this, Franz's teacher opened a grammar book and read a lesson for them. He says, I was amazed to see how well I understood it. Now, children, here, Franz says that he was shocked to learn that how well he expounded whatever was being taught by his teacher. All he said seemed so easy. I think too that I had never listened so carefully. So he's saying everything seemed so easy to Franz that whatever the teacher taught him, he was able to understand easily, and thus he realizes that maybe he had never been so attentive in his class earlier, and he had never listened to his teacher so carefully that he had not understood what his teacher used to explain to him as he had understood on the last day. And that he had never explained everything with so much patience. And not only this, he feels that even his teacher would not have explained the children everything with so much of patience as he is doing on the last day in the last lesson. It seemed almost as if the poor man wanted to give us all he knew before going away. Thus, Franz feels that his teacher, M. Hamel, wants to give all his knowledge to the students at one stroke. He wishes to put up into the heads of the students everything that he knows about French at one stroke. After the grammar lesson, Franz says we had a lesson in writing. That day, M. Hamel had brought new copies, new notebooks with a beautiful round hand written. Round hand here means the well calligraphed letters or the words written in the notebooks like France, Alsace, France, Alsace. And these words, the calligraphed words in the notebooks, they look like little flags floating everywhere in the schoolroom. He's saying he felt the words were so efficiently calligraphed in the notebooks that they appeared like little flags. They appeared like the flags of their country floating everywhere in the schoolrooms. That means the notebooks, the handwriting written in the notebooks appeared to them like little flags. They appeared to them like the little flags of their country, of France, and hung from the rod at the top of their desk. It appeared to them as if they have been hung on the rods and they were placed on their desks as the notebooks were lying on their desks. So beautifully the handwriting was calligraphed. You ought to have seen how everyone set to work. He's saying it was surprising to see that all the students sitting in the class, they were immersed and engrossed in doing their work. The only sound was the scratching of the pens over the paper. Only one sound could be heard, and that was the scratching of the pen on the notebook papers. Once some beetles flew in, and unfortunately, when any insect like beetle flew into the room, it was unnoticed to the children because they were fully engrossed and involved in doing their writing exercise. Not even the little ones. Little ones here means even the youngest kids or the youngest students of the class, or the little children of sitting in that particular class. As you all know, children, that in this class there were elderly members of the village, the students, as well as the little ones. Even the most youngest kids were studying in the same class and same school. And they were also so involved in tracing or making certain drawings or the images of fish hooks, that even those tiny images which were created by these little children or which were traced by the little ones, they have traced the images so well that they too appeared like as if it was French written. On the roof, now Franz was able to see the pigeons cooing very low, and thus he felt that will they make them sing in German? So he feels here that during the wars, when one country becomes victorious over the other, and they become dictators and snatch away their linguistic languages and enforce or impose their language on them. So he feels that maybe the pigeons, will they even make the pigeons sing in German language? And you know, children, pigeons here it represents freedom. Pigeons represent freedom. So thus he feels that because as the Prussians have already overtaken these two districts under them, that is the Alsace and Lorraine, so he feels that as the language has been the language identity has been snatched from them, so he feels that will they make even these pigeons sing in German? But again he realizes that the right of the human race can be snatched by the dictators, but I think no identity can be snatched from the birds or the animals. So thus he says that will they make them sing even in German language, even the pigeons? So whenever I looked up from my writing, I saw M. Hamel sitting motionless in his chair and gazing first at one thing, then at another. Then suddenly I looked up and suddenly I was shocked to see that M. Hamel was observing each and everything. He was gazing at each and everything one after the other, as if it appeared to me as if he wanted to carry every image of the classroom in his mind. Fancy, for 40 years he had been there in the same place. He says, see, it is really surprising to say that he had been, dedicatingly rendering his services for 40 years in the same place, with his garden outside the window and his class in front of him. And exactly just opposite to his class window, there was his garden in which he had planted different types of plants. And he says something that changed within 40 years were only the desks and benches which have been worn smooth and now which have turned, old due to use. If the benches would not have been used, they would not have been worn out. So now he was even able to say that the walnut trees in the garden were taller, and these plants were planted by M. Hamel when he joined the school, and now the walnut trees have grown very tall. And the hop vine that he had planted, wine is also a plant it is, and vine means it is a twining stem of the hop. Twining stem of the hop is nothing but a vine that wraps around the plant. So these hop vines that he had planted himself, they twined about the windows to the roof. Now they have wrapped to wind round the windows to the roof. Okay, how it must have broken his heart to leave it all, poor man, to hear his sister moving about in the room above, packing their trunks, for they must have the country next day. See, children, we have seen that M. Hamel, the teacher, who was now about to leave his place where he had been living for 40 years and serving the students. So now he has to go. So the children are observing him, that how heartbroken he appears, because he has been very much attached to the place as well as to the students where he has been rendering his services for the last 40 years. Now these children are able to see the sister moving about and packing her luggage as they have to leave. So he is looking at everything as if he is trying to memorize the scene and is feeling as if he wants to carry all the memories of that particular classroom as well as that place along with him. So he is heartbroken and very emotional to leave this place. And his sisters also heard packing the bags and moving about in the room, for they must leave France the next day. Okay, children? But he had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. But now this little child, Franz, he's saying, I had the courage. I could sit there and listen hours and hours to every lesson, especially the last lesson which my teacher is, giving us on the last day. After the writing, we had a lesson in history, he says. Immediately after that, we had a lesson of history, Franz says. And then we could hear even the little children chanting their ba, baby, bo, boo. So on in chorus, they were busy there. Down there at the back of the room, she's saying, below, I was able to see Hauser with his primer. He had a primer in his hands. I told you earlier that primer means it is a basic book that is used to learn the basic languages, okay? Spelled the letters with them. And even as I said, they were in the classroom, there were types of students. I would like to say there were little children, then there were the age of Franz, and plus the elderly members of the village were also sitting there. So you could see that he too was crying. And when these children looked at his face, he appeared to be very emotional, and the expressions on his face reflected as if he was crying. His voice was trembling with emotion, and he was so emotional that, children, very natural it is. It is not only with Hauser, it is with each and every one of us. Human emotions are expressed in this manner when you love someone or you admire someone or the place that you admire. When you have to depart from there, you get, attached to that particular place, that you want to carry every memory of that area and that place, those human beings, whomever you come in contact with, and you would love to cherish those memories for years later. And it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry. Now, Franz and the other children say that when we saw Hauser with a, very indifferent expression on his face, sometimes he appeared to be crying, and the other moment he appeared like as if he was smiling. And he's saying we felt like, looking at his expression, he appeared very comical, and we felt like laughing at him, and sometimes even felt like shedding tears along with him. Well, I remember it, that last lesson. That's what he says. And he's expressing it in his own words, saying that I just can't forget that last lesson. I still remember the last lesson and how our teacher was so emotional, and he was so grieved to leave us all and go from there. All at once, the church clock struck 12. Children, generally, in every place or in every country you go or any districts you go, there is definitely a church, and you might have seen on top of the churches, on that the front part, there's a huge clock stuck up, and then the Angelus. And as the clock struck, see, it is the time when school gets over. So what happened as the clock struck there? Then the Angelus. Angelus means the prayers that is held in the churches. At the same moment, the trumpets of the Prussians returning from drill, and we know already Alsace and Lorraine has been undertaken by the Prussians, and suddenly Franz says, I could hear the trumpets, the musical instruments being played, the musical instrument trumpet being played by the Prussian soldiers who were returning from drill. Drill, I told you earlier, it is they perform an exercise on the beat of the drum, sounded under the windows. And he's saying we could hear, sitting in a class, the children were able to hear the sound of the beat of the Prussian soldiers returning from drill. And M. Hamel stood up. The same moment, as M. Hamel was restless on that particular day, so he has got up. He appeared to be very pale. Why was he appearing so pale? Children, he was a bit sad, he was too emotional, he was heartbroken, and he was overwhelmed with that, pain of departure. In his chair, I never saw him look so tall. So he's saying, all these years, I've never seen him on the chair sitting, and he appeared that tall to my eyes. My friends, said he. So as he looked at us, and he said, but something choked, he could not go on. See, he just began to say something, to utter something, but he felt choked. Choked means he felt that something in his throat, and he was not able to utter the words that he wanted to speak. He could not go on. He could not continue with his speech. So what do you mean by choked here? Why he was feeling a bit choked? Can you tell me? It is because he was not comfortable at all. He was inwardly broken, and he could not continue what he wanted to say, because that's the last moment that he was supposed to bid goodbye to his students, to his school, as well as to that particular classroom where he had been rendering his services for the last many years. Then he turned to the blackboard, took a piece of chalk, and bearing on with all his might. Might here means the strength, and bearing here means, bearing is like a manner in which one comforts himself. So, what he was trying to do, he was trying to stand strongly because he was feeling very weak, he was feeling broken, and he wanted to, speak few words to the children. He wanted to bid them goodbye, but he could not do that, and he felt that his throat was getting choked. He was not able to spell out anything or speak out anything or utter anything there. So, what did he do? He began to make himself comfortable by standing up on with all his might, with all his strength, and he wrote as large as he could. So, and he began to write on the blackboard. And children, I would like to tell you, can you say what did he write on the blackboard? As he was very much grieved and he was attached, there. So, and a feeling of patriotism was also there, and he was feeling very nostalgic. And as he got up, he is written on the board. He's written there, Vive les, what did he write? Vive les France. That means, Vive les France means long live France. So, what does this show? This shows that, he was supporting his own language, and he had a great gratitude for his language, and he wanted people to not to neglect their mother tongue and love their language, and as language is the key to liberate themselves when anyone is enslaved. He did say this in his previous lines, and because he was overwhelmed, he just writes Vive les France. This is showing the importance of linguistic language. What do you mean by linguistic, children? Linguistic means, like, if you are from Bihar, from Punjab, you must know your language, Punjabi. And, if you are from Haryana, they speak their Haryanavi. So that's what they say, that you should have that love and liking for your language and should not avoid learning your mother tongue. And this is how, then he says, Vive les France, and long live France. Then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall. He could not continue further. So what did he do? He just, kneeled his head towards the wall, because now a feeling rose, that the feeling that rose in his heart was the spirit of patriotism. So what did he say? As he was overwhelmed with emotions, M. Hamel writes, Vive les France on the blackboard, and as he turned back, then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall. And without a word, he could not utter anything, could not speak any other word. He made a gesture to us with his hand. So, immediately, with his hands, he made a gesture to the class that the school is dismissed, you may go. So, what did he say? The school has been dismissed, and now you may all leave from here. That is only he did not speak anything, but with his hand he made a gesture. What is gesture? Just a sign that you may move. Okay, you may leave the class now. The class has been dismissed. So, as I said, so this chapter is all about teaching us all about the importance of language. I would like to say the story written is in a very historical background. It is a very beautiful depiction of the emotional bond of the people with their mother tongue. Children, it depicts the pathos. Pathos means quality that arouses pity, okay? Pathos of the situation, that in order to conquer the minds of the people, it is not enough to win a country physically by force. Isn't it, children? So, in order to enslave a people completely, a conqueror needs to enslave their thoughts and make them devoid of their own mother tongue. So, with this, we end the explanation. This is how the chapter ends, the last lesson by Alphonse Dode. With this, children, I would like to brief the summary to you once again. The narrator Franz was worried as he started late for school from home. He was also very anxious about facing the teacher, M. Hamel, who was to question the class about participles, a topic Franz did not know anything about. See, now he thought of running away and spending the day outdoors as it was warm and bright. Suddenly he noticed the birds were chirping and the Prussian soldiers were drilling in the sawmill. All this seemed much more interesting than studying participles. He was fascinated and attracted towards the drilling soldiers. However, he refused to give it into temptation and he hastened off to school. Hastened means speeded off to school. On his way to school, he had to pass the town hall where there was a huge crowd in front of the bulletin board. The news that was displayed there was at times about the lost battles, the drafts, or the orders of the commanding officers. Now he began to recall that for the last 2 years, the news displayed there had been unwelcome. He wondered what it was this time as he hurried off to school. All these 2 years or 2.5 years, they have not bothered to look at the bulletin board as the war had been broken, and generally the news that was laid there was displayed there was about the incidents that were taken place during the war. So he did not bother to stand there and have a look at the bulletin board. As a rule, when school began, there was generally a lot of commotion there, and which could be heard even on the streets. And the noise of opening and closing of desks, lessons repeated in chorus, of the teacher's ruler rapping on the table. Surprisingly, that day all was very still. He had thought that he would sneak into the class, taking advantage of the commotion, but the school was as quiet as Sunday morning. So what did Franz do? As he went close to the classroom, he peeped in through the window. He saw his classmates already seated on the desks and M. Hamel walking to and fro with his iron ruler under his arm. He had no other option. He opened the door and goes in with all eyes staring at him. Everybody was looking at him, so he felt both embarrassed and frightened. Much to his amazement, Hamel saw him and very kindly told him to take his place. And Franz was, surprised to see the change in the behavior of his teacher. When he sat down at his desk, he noticed that the teacher was formally dressed and he had put on his green coat, frilled shirt, and the little black silk cap. And his attire was embroidered. Okay? He never wore this dress except on the special occasions such as inspection or on the annual day functions. He also noticed that the whole school seemed strange and serious. Moreover, the back benches were occupied by the villagers. They were quietly sitting like the students. He noticed old Hauser, former mayor, the ex-postmaster, and several others. All looked very sad and demise, and Hauser had brought an old primer that he held open on his knees with the spectacles lying across the page. He sat wondering till he heard M. Hamel announcing in a gentle tone that it was the last French lesson. There was an order from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. They would get a new master the next day. Since this was the last French lesson, he wanted all of them to be very attentive. This was a shocking piece of news, and Franz at once gathered that this was the news that was displayed on the bulletin board. Franz barely knew any French, and now he was very regretful and he began to repent because he would not be able to learn the French language anymore. But somewhere he was sorry for not learning. His books that had seemed a real nuisance to him till a while back were now precious, and he felt he could not give them up. He even felt sad at the thought of M. Hamel going away. Now, since he was a person who Franz had never liked, Since this was the last lesson, and M. Hamel had put on his fine clothes, thus he began to think. Franz thought, oh, this is the reason why his master is putting on his bestest clothes, because it is his last lesson in this school. And the old men of the village, they all have gathered there. They have all have occupied the seats of the last benches of the classroom, because they were sorry that they have also not paid attention towards their French language during their school days, and no longer they would be able to study this language. They were there as they wanted to thank M. Hamel for his 40 years of faithful service and to show respect or gratitude for the country that was theirs now. Just then, the writer heard his name called. Now it was the turn of Franz to recite the rules of participles, but he could not. He could not speak flawlessly. He was very nervous, but M. Hamel said that he would not scold him, as he was sure that Franz was feeling terrible himself. He had postponed his learning and now there was no chance of learning French. Okay, children? But M. Hamel blamed everyone for the situation. He felt that not only Franz's parents were not keen that he should study. On the contrary, they preferred that he work to earn a little more money, so they sent him to take up errands. He blamed himself for sending Franz often to water his flowers instead of having him learn his lessons. He was sorry for giving them a day off when he wanted to spend his time in the leisure activities like fishing. So M. Hamel added that the French language was the most beautiful language in the world. It was the clearest, the most logical one. Thus it had to be guarded and preserved. When people are enslaved, he said, it is a language is like the key to the prison, and the language can help them to liberate themselves. Then he opened a grammar book and he read a lesson to the class. Franz was surprised to see how well he understood it. Children, do you think today he was able to understand the lesson better? What was the reason behind this? Because today he realized that he had been wasting his time all these years and he had not paid any due attention towards his studies, and as it is the last lesson of his teacher, and he is very sorry that he would not be able to learn his own mother tongue anymore. So this was because he had taken keen interest in learning, so he was able to learn it and expound it immediately. And M. Hamel had never explained everything with so much of patience. It appeared that the teacher wanted to share all his knowledge before going away. After the grammar, they had a lesson in writing. M. Hamel gave them new notebooks on which was written in beautiful handwriting or well calligraphed, Franz Elzas, Franz Elzas. The copies looked like flags in the classroom. Everyone started working very quietly with rapt attention. Franz wondered whether the pigeons on the roof would be made to sing in German. Franz looked up and saw M. Hamel sitting motionless. It seemed as if he wanted to fix and carry all the memories of his school and classroom forever in his heart and mind. He had been there for 40 years and now it must break his heart to leave it all and the country the next day. Children, it's very natural when you spend many years at a certain place, you start having a liking, for that place and you don't feel like leaving. You have some special memories related to that, premises. But he had decided to teach to the very last moment. After the writing, they had a lesson in history. At the back of the room, Hauser put on his spectacles and held the primer in his hand. He had some peculiar expressions on his face. It appeared to the students as if he was sometimes smiling and sometimes shedding tears. He was crying and his voice trembled with emotion. All of them felt equally emotional. Franz never forgot that last lesson. Suddenly, the church clock struck 12. The bell announced the time for prayers. They heard the trumpets of the Prussian returning from drill. M. Hamel stood up, but he could not talk as emotions choked his throat. All he could do was to write, "We will have France" on the blackboard. Then he took support of the wall and without a word, he signaled to them to go as the class was over. So with this, we end the briefing of the summary, children. So thank you very much. Goodbye to you all. Take care of yourself.